Alright guys, so I'm going to take you on a tour of my 97 Miata, and I'm going to start from the inside. This car was I based my interior sort of on the F40LM style, where they have a felt dash and all the gauges inside are simply regular gauges you would use on the track. Now, this car is primarily, well, it's an everyday car, I use it every day, but it is also a track car that has seen quite a bit of track time. So the whole dash was covered in felt, just similar to how the F40LM was. And the gauges are a combination of Bosch and some just cheap parts store brand, I don't know, gauge. I run the AM Uego AFR gauge for my ITB setup and the auto gauge tachometer. The wheel is a Momo Mod 31. It's the closest thing I could find to the original F40 wheel, because I previously was running a personal Blitz, I think it is, and it didn't really suit the interior too well. Here's a outside view of the door, which I made these little blocking plates at the end to kind of keep the felt in line. The seat is a Kirky aluminum seat. Unfortunately, I cannot run kind of like nicer bride seats or anything like that because I'm 6'4" and I'm already pretty much on the floor. The seat is actually bolted to the floor, and with a helmet on, I'm still kind of running out of room, bumping into the roof. So for the harness, I'm using the G-Force harnesses. They're now expired, but at the time they were still, I think, in date when I got them, a year left. But I have some gloves because the suede wheel is, I hear that they don't like the hand oils, right? And so they wear out faster, which I kind of had no option because they don't make this wheel with regular leather or anything like that. The whole dashboard comes out, and with 4 bolts, you can take it out, in 15 minutes if you really had to. And underneath is a pretty basic wiring harness that I kind of stripped away just to run what I need. The car runs a Mega Squirt 2, which I run behind the seat. I also wired my radio behind the seat with this little bracket here. That way I could hide it, still have music, but not have it ruin the look of the dash. And I believe that this is a Hard Dog Sport roll bar, the M2, I believe, with the harness bar attachment. And then that's a VCR mount from like an old race car from like the 90s or something like that. Somebody made that, but it's pretty cool, it works. So from the outside, starting in the back, I have the finish panel, which is just a knockoff one, and the regular lights that come with it. This is a factory rear, what do you call it, like a wing or whatever you might want to call it. And this is running the Treasure Coast Miata Lexan window with all the stainless steel hardware. And these washers here, I got these specific washers because at the bottom they have like a seal on them. And then I ran a 3M seal all around to keep this from leaking, and it does not leak at all. Well, except for where it's got a missing screw right there, but pretty much doesn't leak at all. On the sides, I have just some covers on the side because I kind of like how they look. They kind of give it a squared off look in the back. The mirrors are actually just bullet style mirrors that I got online, which I think are a little bit better than the stock ones. The stock ones weigh a lot too, but I don't really care about that. And then I made some block off plates for where my paint was under it. Got a kill switch, kind of a payment to Group A. That's my I used to be really into Group A racing series in Japan, you know, like GT and JGTC and whatnot. They would always run their kill switches on the outside like this. And then the wheels I'm running currently are MS03 Mazda Speed Rays wheels with 205/50/15 Dunlops, but on track I usually run BFGs, slicks, DOT slicks. Now for the front, what everybody either hates or loves is my headlight setup. These are not Jetstreams. They're handmade light, which I've made using Lexan and a cut headlight cover. Underneath, I have some just regular lights. And the outside edge, I used my vinyl cutter to cut around the shape. For the suspension, I'm running the Koni yellow setup with the ground control sleeves, and in the front I have Hypercoil 700 pound springs, and in the back it's Eibach 325 pound springs. It's basically your standard Spec Miata setup, but for the road use. Well, I'm using it on the road. Moving on to the engine bay, I'm using a regular 1.8 engine with the OBX ITB setup, and these kind of like ram air covers. These actually, I would not recommend using these filters because from the dyno, it ended up costing around 10 horsepower actually. So if I remove these, it's literally a 10 horsepower increase. This is a factory NB strut brace from when I owned an NB. I just kept it. I have the Racing Beat NB front sway bar with their brace. I had to modify their brace a little bit because it wouldn't quite line up. Not sure if the brace really does much, but it's there. This catch can system is temporary until I get a real one, but it's essentially a jar with a teed off hoses to the valve cover. Using factory headers because my old header is actually rusted out, oddly enough, and split. There's no AC or heat in the car, but I don't know, you don't really need it. But all four of the throttle bodies run to the vacuum block. Pretty usual setup there. Okay, so hopefully you guys like the quick kind of a tour of the car and the drive around with VQ engine noise too. We'll see you in the next video. If you like, you can subscribe to it. I will have more videos, and I want to go into kind of explaining car setups and racing, how to get into racing, and even maybe like how to just prepare your car for track days, things like that. Thank you.